Welcome. In this video, we continue with AEONS End Legacy, going into Chapter 5, The Darkest Night. No one saw the breach open at the edge of your camp, a dark void hidden against the night sky. No one saw the fog slip out of the breach, creeping slowly towards New Gravehold until it was too late. You wake to shouts of alarm as the camp is enveloped. With every breath, you take in a little more fog. You notice your crystals cracking, susceptible to some poison in the air. A faint figure moves through the gloom, grabbing survivors and draining them of life. You jump back as a twisted breach opens just in front of you. Zaxos rushes out, looking panicked. "I made it," he says breathlessly. "I got here in time." Alistar rushes over, covering his mouth to the fog. "What is this?" Zaxos laments. "The Nameless are no longer content to wait for us. This one consumes the unprepared. We should have left their breaches open, studied them. We could have taken their power for our own. I just need to." The fog begins to thicken around you as Zaxos' last words become muddled. The Nameless has sectioned you off, thinking you easy prey. Open Envelope Chapter 5. Open Stop 5 deck. Combine all the Haze Fiend Nemesis cards with the basic ones. Don't reveal past the middle card. Resolve setup for the Haze Fiend. Open Insight 10, apply stickers. Then fight the Haze Fiend. So, Envelope 5. Side, we have another divider for the Haze Fiend and the Nemesis card. So for setup, each player writes their name at the bottom of each of their crystals. All right, then he's got 75 health. He gains 1 Nemesis token. Then the additional rolls. At the end of any Nemesis turn in which he has 2 or more Nemesis tokens, it fractures a crystal. Any player places a flawed sticker on one of the non-flawed crystals in their hand or discard pile and suffers 2 damage. If no player has a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard pile, place a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in the destroyed pile. The player whose name is on that crystal suffers 2 damage. If no sticker was able to be placed in this way, any player suffers 2 damage. Haze Fiend loses 2 tokens. Repeat this until he has 1 or less tokens. Flawed crystals will remain flawed throughout the remaining games. When playing a legacy character outside this campaign, use non-flawed crystals. Players must use the flawed or non-flawed crystals bearing their names to build their starting deck and hand in all subsequent games. Do not add flawed stickers if there are none left, and do not replay this chapter if you lose this game. Okay. We've got Stop 5 deck. So we've got 1s, 2s, and 3s, and we'll stop there and combine that with the previous Nemesis 1, 2s, and 3s and shuffle. So there's our 3s, 2s, and 1s. Open up Insight 10 here. So here we've got explanations on flawed stickers and how that's going to work. So basically we're going to cover up the gain 1 money, then we're going to gain 1 that cannot be used by a spell, and then an extra sticker to make sure we know it's flawed. And then we have the degraded definition. So when a Nemesis card forces a player to degrade a card, we destroy a card that costs 2 or more, then that player may gain a card of the same type from any supply pile which costs less than the cost of the one destroyed. The player cannot degrade a card, they take 2 damage. And I need to write my name on the bottom of my crystals. And we'll reset with our 4 crystals and spark on the bottom. I've already adjusted my level 3 breach. Even though it's the beginning of my first turn, it's not going to affect anything else to do it now. Prevents me from forgetting. Then in my hand, I've got the Dell's damage card and 4 crystals and 10 life. So we're ready to get started. We'll shuffle the turn deck and see who gets to go first. So we will go. Start with prepping a spell. Then with her 4 money, We'll go into a forced transfusion so we can deal 3 damage and end our turn, drawing our remaining cards. Next turn, Nemesis, drawing a card, getting the Ravenous Leviathan, so 7 health. Gravehold suffers 2 damage, and it's going to evolve. So there's 7 health. Next turn will be us. We will deal 2 damage since it's a minion, taking it down to 5. And gain a charge. Then prep a spark and buy some Radite. So this is the card that lets us get 2 money, and if we have 2 or more prep spells, gain an additional money. Ending our turn. Getting 4 crystals and a forced transfusion. Next turn is us. Doing 1 damage. Prep a spell. Then we'll go ahead and get 4 money, but just use that for Geophage. Ending our turn. Getting some crystals, 4 gems, and our personal spell. On to the Nemesis. It's going to do 2 damage to Graveholds, down to 28. And evolve. And next card, Debilitating Impact. Power 3, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Player with the most expensive spell in hand degrades that card. And then last turn of the round will be us. Dealing 3 damage. Down to 1. Prep a spell. Then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we'll use to get this card to gain 2 money. An ally draws a card. Get 1 card and 4 more. So we've got our 3 gems, a relic, and a spark. And that will end round 1, so shuffle. And next turn is the Nemesis. So 2 damage. Gravehold down to 26. Grab another sticker. So we've got 3 or 4 on this thing. Remove a counter or power. Draw a new card. The Fracture attack. Gravehold suffers 2 damage. Down to 24. Player with the most crystals in hand places a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard pile. That's going to be us. So put a little sticker up here and one down here letting us know we gain money, but we can't use it to buy a spell. So next turn, we can go ahead and defeat this minion. And gain a charge. Prep a spell. We'll use this to destroy a gem in hand. We'll go for the one that's flawed. Then with our 3 money, I think we'll go with this one. So gain 2 or silence a minion. And drawing into 1 spell and 4 gems. Next turn is us. Dealing 1 damage. So finally, damage on our Haze Fiend. Prep a spell. We're going to gain 2 money to bank and draw a card. Getting another crystal. So we're going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which means breach collision. Gain this, place it on top of any player's discard pile, then on casting, deal 5, and Gravehold gains a life. Ending our turn, so 2 cards and 3 more. So our Geophage, 3 gems, and our starter card. Next turn will be us. So 3 damage, down to 71. Prep a spell. I'm going to use this to get rid of one of our gems. And we're going to be stuck with 4 money. Get another spell here. And drawing into 2 spells and 3 gems. And then our Nemesis is going to go. Removing 1 power. Drawing a card, so a minion with 7 health, Smog Beast. Gravehold suffers 1 damage, any player discards a gem. And we will end off the round. Dealing 2 damage to the minion. Down to 5. And gain a charge. We'll prep a spell. Bank 2 money and draw a card. Getting some Radite. So we'll use this 3 money here to go ahead and open this breach. Prep a spell. And this is going to be worth 3, so we have 4 money still. I think we're going to use that to focus. And end our turn. So 3 cards here. Plus 2. Getting us 3 crystals and 2 spells. And time to shuffle. And next turn will be us. So go ahead and use this to deal 5 damage to get rid of this minion. And Gravehold will gain a life. So up to 25. Then we'll use a spark on the big guy down to 70. Then prepping 2 spells with 3 money. We'll go for this gem. And we've got our relic, 3 gems, and our Dell's damage. Next turn is us. So we're going to deal 3 damage, and if we have 3 more charges, gain a charge, and we do have 3 charges. So there's 1. And do it again. So that's going to be a total of 6 damage. Down to 64. Prepping a spell. I'm going to get this to bank 2 money and draw a card. Getting that. So we'll have 3 money and destroy a gem in hand. Getting rid of this crystal. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jump over here for another breach collision. Ending our turn with 2 cards there and 3 off the top. So 2 spells and 3 gems. And our turn. So with this, we can deal 1 damage over here, so down to 63. We'll gain a charge, which gets us 6 there, so we'll go ahead and spin that so we can gain 5 life. So back up to 30 health on our city. Then we are going to prep 2 spells. And with our 4 money, we are going to focus our breach and end our turn. And we have 2 force transfusions and 3 crystals. Now it's the Nemesis turn. So last power off that. So Gravehold suffers 3 damage. So down to 27. The player with the most expensive spell in hand degrades that card. So this is what we have in our hand. So we'll blow this up. And go ahead and replace it in hand with a Breach Flare, dealing 2 damage, and we can focus player's 3 breach, which does nothing for us. And that's it for that card. So now we've got a Rune Prisoner. When a player deals damage to this minion, that player degrades a card in hand. That's hurtful. Persistent, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. All right, next turn is us. So we're going to go ahead and do 5 damage to this. Gain a life. Then we have to degrade a card in hand. So we'll blow up our Breach Flare. And turn that into some fire. Pretty much doing the same thing. Then we will do 1 damage over here. Then prep some spells. And use these 3 to get this. Ending our turn with 1 spell and some gems and a relic. Last turn goes to the Nemesis. So 3 damage for Graveholds, down to 23. Poison attack. Any player places a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard pile. A different player degrades a card in hand and suffers 2 damage. So we'll just go in our discard pile. So put that back. And even though it says a different player, we're playing solo, so we have to degrade a card in hand and suffer 2 damage. So we're going to turn our Radite, cost of 4, into this gem. And then taking 2 damage, down to 8. And another round starts. Starting with us. So 2 damage to take care of this guy, which forces us to degrade a card in our hand. So this costs a 5 gem. We'll turn into Radite. Then 3 damage over here, down to 59. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 money. And we're going to do that to focus. Just focus this one. That was 4. Then for 3, we'll get a Breach Flare. Then we'll prep this spell. Ending our turn, getting 5 cards. So Breach Collision, some gems, and Dell's damage. Next turn is us. 5 damage to the big guy, down to 54. Gain a life for Gravehold. Then we have 4 crystals to bank. We're going to open our level 4 breach, give us +1 damage on cast. Prepping 2 spells. And ending our turn. Getting a flawed crystal with a couple more and a spark. Next turn, Nemesis. Drawing a card. So I've got a Tremor. To discard, need to spend 7. Comes in with 2 power. It's going to unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 4 damage. Then if Gravehold has 13 life or more, it evolves. So next turn is us. We're going to deal a total of 6 damage, down to 48. Gain a life for Gravehold, up to 25. And we gain a charge. We have 1 spell and just 5 money, and we can't use this one for a spell. So we're just not going to use it. We'll use these 4 to get that. Ending our turn. 5 cards. Got some money and a lot of spells. So Nemesis. 1 power off. New card, unleash twice. And actually, read this wrong. It's just the unleash ability gains him 1. He doesn't start with 1 at the start of the game. So he'll just have 2 tokens there. And then I'll suffer 3 damage. Down to 5. Then we have to place a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in our hand or discard pile. And then take 2 damage, so we're down to 3 health. And remove these 2 tokens. And next turn is us. So dealing 2 damage, down to 46. We're going to prep 3 spells. And then we have 4 money. Going to use that for 2 charges and end our turn. 2 cards there. Plus 3. Gets us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 money, possibly. And shuffle for a new round. And first turn goes to the Nemesis. Not what I wanted. So he loses power token. Going to unleash twice. Gravehold will take 4 damage. Then if Gravehold has 13 life or more, evolve. So down to 21. And put a little sticker up here. Then another card. So minion with 11 health. Smoke Guardian. Immediately read Evolve Deck card E57. So glowing figure emerges from the dense fog surrounding your battle. Sharp edges and razor teeth are eerily illuminated by its innate aura, turning it into a nightmare's vision. Place this card next to Smoke Guardian. When the Guardian is discarded, read the back of this card. And its persistent effect is any player degrades a card in hand. Gravehold suffers 1 damage. So next turn is us. So we can deal 1, 2, 3 and gain a charge. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. So this is down to 3 health. Then we'll prep a spell. Then we'll use this to destroy a gem in hand. That's going to leave us with 5 money. We're going to use that to get 2 charges. To max us out, spend all those for Gravehold to heal 5. So up to 26. Ending our turn. So 3 spells and 2 gems. Next turn is the Nemesis. So you have to degrade a card in hand. We're just going to get rid of this and not replace it. And Gravehold suffers a damage down to 25. And last turn, I forgot to do that. I'm sure that's not shocking to anyone else. So we'll just find a flawed sticker on the bottom of this stack. Take 2 damage. So that catches us up, I think. New card coming out. So the Caustic Larva. It's going to unleash and evolve with 10 health. And next turn is us. Let's see here. We're going to overkill on this thing. And gain a life. And then read the back of this card. So Smoke Guardian is defeated. As the smoke dissipates, you find a discarded dirty object, giving off a familiar hum of energy. You scrape off the ground to find a precious gem hidden beneath. The player who discarded Smoke Guardian gains a gem from the most expensive gem supply pile and places it into their hand. Turn this card to the Evolve deck. So we get to put this in hand. Then we shall prep some spells. Use that to draw a card. So we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 money for gems or 3 for spells. So we'll get some Radite. And end our turn. So we've got 2 tainted gems, 2 good gems, and a spark. Next turn is us. So we can deal 6 damage with this, taking this down to 4, gain a life to 27. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and gain a charge. Get rid of this guy. Prepper Spark. Then we'll use these 4 for a spell. And these 2, we'll get a charge just to see if we live that long. Ending our turn. Getting some spells and gems. And our turn. So dealing 2 damage. Down to 44. Prepping some spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab our last Force Transfusion. And end our turn. So, got our spell, Geophage, and 3 gems. And time for another round. So next turn is the Nemesis. Drawing a card. A minion with 15 health. Toxic Breath. Persistent effect. Gravehold suffers 2 damage. Player with the most expensive card in hand destroys that card. Yikes. Next turn. That is us. So we're going to deal 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Take this guy down to 7. Prep a spell. Use this to draw a card. So we have 7 gems, unless we're going after a spell, then we only have 6 money. I think with that, we'll spend 3 over here. So that was that. So we still have 4 left, so we can focus twice. And draw 5 cards. Getting a bunch of spells and a little bit of money. And it's our turn again. So we can do 6 damage. Not quite enough to kill this thing. But we will gain a life for Gravehold. Then we are going to prep 3 spells. And we're going to go ahead and silence this guy. And hold on to this card for next round. So 4 cards. So 2 spells and 3 gems. And it's our turn. Still worth it. This is going to do 3 damage. But we only need 1 to get rid of this. We'll gain a charge. Then deal 5 damage and gain a life. So 39. 29. Then deal 3 damage and gain a charge. So down to 36. Then prep some spells. Got 4 money. We'll go in for some Radite. And 3 spells and some gems. So we're going. So 4 damage and a charge and 5 damage. Total down to 31. Total of 5 money. We'll go in for this. So a couple spells, gems, and our relic. Now the Nemesis comes up. So it's going to unleash, getting us 1 token. Gravehold will suffer 3 damage, down to 26. The player with the most cards in hand that cost 2 or more degrades all of those cards. Ouch. So that's every card we have. So these 2 are going to become these. This just goes away. We'll get rid of this to become that, and then that becomes one of these. So disintegrate. That was nasty. And shuffle for next turn. And we start with us. So we're going to deal 3 damage and gain a charge, which gets us full. Another 3 damage. So we're up to 6, 7, 8, and 9 damage. So down to 22. Then we're going to prep 2 spells. Spend all of this to fix Gravehold back up to 30. Then we have a total of 5 money. So go ahead and for that and end our turn. Getting 4 cards plus 1. So 2 spells and 3 gems. Next turn is us. Doing a total of 5 damage. Down to 17. Prepping some spells. I think we will use these 3 for a Breach Flare. And then this card just gets wasted. So some gems and 2 spells. Going into our next turn with us going. So we'll be dealing 1, 2, 7 damage, down to 10. We're also gaining a charge and a life. Oops, I'm sorry. We're already at 30, so we can't go any higher. We are building this city back. Then prepping. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Ending our turn. So some spells and gems, of course. Our turn will be 4 damage and gaining a charge, and 5 damage and doing nothing. So a total of 9 damage there. Down to 1. Where we've been sitting for so long. We can use this to draw a card. Getting some Radite. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 money. And then 1 that we can't use for a spell. Not that we'll see it, but we'll buy it. Drawing 5. Getting lots of damage. But Nemesis is going to go. Unleashing twice. Any player destroys a card in hand, and then we evolve. So we'll destroy this. And card E50, Scatter Story. You fend off the attack with an ease that makes you uncomfortable. You wonder what the Nameless's goal was. You worry that you missed something and fear what knowledge they gained. Banish Scatter. Place card E51 in the Nemesis discard pile. So this gets banished. And something much worse gets discarded. Then we're going to deal with this. Found a crystal. We'll put that in there. And we're taking 2 damage. So the first one takes us down. Second one's going to do double damage to Gravehold. We unleash twice. Destroy one of our breaches. We lose our charge tokens. And then, of course, we cannot gain life. And when we word suffer damage, Gravehold suffers twice that amount. So that gets rid of 2. And then we repeat the process. And just making sure, don't believe we have any more. Then we'll look through our destroyed pile and add flawed to that. So put that back in the destroyed spot. Take 2 more damage, which translates to 4 over here, so down to 24. Then remove 2. And then lastly, the Nemesis goes again. So 2 shield, 7 health. This is chapter 4 or higher. Evolve. So we're looking for card E14. All right. The Spectre has learned from watching your battles, adapting its body and skills in ways to better deflect your attacks, turning it into an even greater threat. Banish the Maddening Spectre and place E15 into play with the same number of life and shield tokens on it that the Maddening Spectre had before transforming. Do not resolve this minion's persistent effect this turn. So we're getting an upgrade. Still just getting 2 shields and 7 health. And then we shuffle for what I assume will be our final round. And goes to the Nemesis. 3 turns in a row. So unleash twice. Draw a card. To discard, spend 8. I got a Gathering Storm, 2 power. Unleash. If there are 2 Nemesis turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, any player suffers 4 damage. Otherwise, evolve. Then we're looking through our destroyed pile to flaw another crystal. So get rid of that. Take 2 damage, which equals 4 over here, so down to 20. Then remove these 2. And then our turn to end the game. So we'll end it with a spark, doing 2 damage, but that's enough to take care of the Haze Fiend. So the Haze Fiend did some damage there. So read the front of card 36. If you won your game versus Haze Fiend, read the back of this card. So as you strike your final blow against Haze Fiend, a painful scream reverberates through the air. In a flash, the haze is gone and torches flicker back to life, lighting the camp. There's no sign of the fog, nor of the shadow you saw moving within. Only the fallen remain. Despite the horror, the survivors begin to move the bodies and seek out missing loved ones. As you survey the wreckage and help coordinate efforts, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. This time you were barely able to stop Haze Fiend before it devoured the whole camp. The Nameless must be destroyed at all costs. So I beg you, Brahma, as Axos pleads, as the mages begin closing the breach. Channeling a nameless breach is forbidden. We will not repeat your mistakes, she chides. We need this power when Maelstrom returns, Axos argues. Ever practical, Malistar continues your instruction while they argue. Open Insight 11, apply those rules to the rulebook. Choose an additional ability sticker and place it on a play mat. And that will resolve every time you use your ability. So Insight 11. Our options are: reveal the top 3 cards of the Nemesis deck, put them back in any order. Reveal the turn order deck and return the revealed cards in any order. Any player returns a spell in their discard pile to their hand. An ally gains 2 charges. If you have 4 or less life, gain 2 life. Gravehold gains 2 life. You deal 3 damage to a minion, or you focus any player's breach twice. Then we're going to get 20 pulse tokens. Used with certain player cards. Each player may not have more than 5 at a time. Any pulse tokens gained beyond 5 are lost. Pulse tokens are carried over from turn to turn. When the game ends, players discard their pulse tokens. And I think I'm going to choose the, if you have 4 or less life, gain 2 life. So we'll put that down here. Then your instruction is interrupted by an explosion of electricity which knocks everyone down. Before Brahma can punish Axos for his audacity, he is gone. That burst of energy changed you. Instinctively, you understand how to convert your raw pulse energy into magical power. Open box D. Then we're going to reveal the rest of the deck and add 2 more cards. Banish the Haze Fiend cards. And then come back next time for Chapter 6. So box D. Here are our pulse tokens. And new cards are going to be Conductive Grit. Gain 2 ether, gain 1 pulse token, or you may lose a pulse token. If you do, gain 3 money. All right. We'll take Relay. Any player gains 3 pulse tokens. That player may lose 1 token. If they do, they destroy a card in hand. Infernal Mirror. An ally gains a charge. Any player gains 2 pulse tokens. You may lose 2 pulse tokens. If you do, cast any player's prep spell. That spell deals an additional damage. Breach Communion. While prepped once per turn during your main phase, you may gain 1 pulse token. For cast, deal 2 damage. You may lose 2 pulse tokens. If you do, deal 3 additional damage. And of course, we still have force transfusion in play over here. Not going to lie, I'm not sure I really want any of these, but I have to. So I'm going to take the relay here, getting rid of the stabilizer. And then bring in breach communion, replacing force transfusion. And that is everything for Aeons End Legacy Chapter 5, The Darkest Night. Hope you enjoyed this playthrough, so please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.